Good morning.
Good morning.
Is that Mr. Steele's voice?
You ought to know it by now. You've been listening to it since you were uptown.
Mr. Steele, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, my darling.
And actually, to all the May birthdays, I think that is Mr. Russell's birthday too. I heard that as we've been continuing to troubleshoot. So all the May birthdays, happy belated birthday.
Hey, April, May.
Okay.
Belated birthday still.
Thank you. Thank you.
Going to be before you long. I just want to apologize for the delay. We're having some technical difficulties, but you know, we continue to still show ourselves that we're still smarter than technology, right? We tried to figure it out. And thank you, Diana, for your support too. Now, just like any other time, if you are in an environment where you can everybody please turn their cameras on so we can connect? Again, in light of COVID, it's just so extremely important that we take these opportunities, even through a virtual experience, to continue to connect and be able to see each other, right? And everything that I'm saying to you is, again,
Morning, Indra.
Morning. And again, everything that I say to you and model before you are also easy peasy techniques that we want to also use when we're talking to parents and students and continuing to share with them and building resilient families and students that.
I'm monitoring the chat.
Thank you. Oh yes, and Miss Linda Brown Kidd is going to be monitoring the chat. So if you put any questions or concerns or your own thoughts to add to today's dialogue in the chat, she'll be actually monitoring that. All right, let's get started. As we are anticipating just the last quarter of the school year, and we're going to be going into the summertime very soon, continuing to engage, educate, empower, and equip parents and students to develop resilience even throughout the summertime. I think that is very important for us to really start to have our parents consider their balancing act. So today's topic is creating balance. I want to go right into the first slide. So when we think of balance, though, and just for the sake of the dialogue today, when we think of balance, what do we think? Now I have the balance being there, but when you think of balance as educators, or you know, we're parents, we're professionals, what words come up when you think about balance?
He's not new. Yes.
Mr. Steele, you got to take your microphone off. Yeah.
Oh,
Unmute yourself.
I've unmuted.
I can hear you.
Do you want us to respond?
Yes, please.
Okay. When you say balance, I just think of everything as being even, on even keel.
I thank you. And even with, I just really wanted us to focus on language because, you know, like we talked a few months ago, even about language and how it is so important when we talk to parents and when we talk to students, you know, that would be a very simple language, something that's even, right? Even keel. The definition is an even, Mr. Steele, you right on, distribution of weight. Again, this is the science definition, weight enabling someone or something to remain upright, steady. Other synonyms for balance, stability. And we know that a lot of the families and the children who we serve, they lack stability, right? Which adds to balance, equilibrium, steadiness, footing. And so when we talk to our parents and our students about balance, when we talk to our students and our parents about balance, we want them to really understand the importance of stability, right? What is imbalance? The imbalance looks like a lack of proportion or relation between corresponding things. So an unevenness, contrast, disproportion, lopsidedness, right? Lack of harmony, lack of relation. And again, with a lot of the parents and the students who we serve, we know that they lack balance. And, you know, as educators, what are some of the things that we see? Why do we think that they lack balance? What's going on? Because I think a lot of times we miss really identifying what's going on. And so we may not necessarily be effectively supporting parents and students because we don't clearly identify what they may have going on.
We have always perfect harmony.
Perfect harmony,
And
somebody.
stability.
and stability. Thank you for sharing. But now, if I can ask the group as educators, what do we see happening in some of their homes where there isn't much balance going on? What's happening? What do we see? So we can identify, so we can really start being more effective in supporting parents and families and
I
students.
think communication cues, the imbalance of being able to convey what you're trying to say, another person process what's being said.
It's usually always a lack of communication in most of the homes we support. Yes, I agree with that. Or just in not necessarily even maybe a lack of communication, that, but even in partnership with miscommunication. So sometimes, because our parents will say, well, I told, so-and-so, or the students say, well, I keep saying to my mom, I keep saying to my grandmom. So you know what? Sometimes it's either lack of communication or miscommunication. So thank you, Mr. Russell. And that causes imbalance. What else? Anybody else want to share?
Maybe sometimes people may not even know that they're out of balance because it has become their norm. And until we point that out or show them something that can be more balanced with in order, so to speak, that may become more effective.
I agree. So what does it look like that, Mr. Burrows, what does it look like?
Just giving an example without embarrassing somebody, to expose them to something that is a little bit more even keeled, to invite them into spaces and places where they may not have been and make them comfortable in those places.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else want to share? Okay, so moving on, when we start getting more into, like Mr. Burrows was saying, really creating new norms, helping parents create new norms, help them explore things that they may not necessarily even consider to be balanced. When I say what it looks like, these tools work for me when I work with parents and students, because a lot of times, again, we want to meet our parents where they are. We don't want to seem like we're talking over their head and using terms and terminology that they can't relate to or they don't necessarily understand. So visual representations and visual tools always work. And so what I usually say to parents is, when we start talking about mental health and balance and mindfulness and building resilient families and giving them tools and the support that they need, again, especially today, we're talking about what's the balance act, what's your balancing act. Mental health portion control is extremely important, because our parents understand when I say, well, what's on your plate? And so they are accustomed to somebody asking them what's on their plate. They're accustomed to it being related to nutrition, right? We know that those conversations are hard to have. Are you eating enough vegetables? Are you eating enough grains and fruits and protein? Those conversations are already hard to have with a lot of the students and families that we serve and support. But keep in mind now, when we flip it, and now we're starting to talk about mental health, they think we're going to get even deeper, right? And we're going to start trying to explore a topic that's even worse than nutrition. But this actually makes it fun, because I'll say to the overwhelmed mom or the grandmother who's stretched, right? Or, the stepdad or the auntie, I'll say to them, what exactly is it on? We have to examine what's on your plate. And as soon as I start to have them divide the plate into portions, how the fruit, the grains, the protein, and the vegetables are, and they start seeing where they're spending the most time, where they're investing the most energy, and they see that that's not working for them, it's not a healthy balance at all, then they can see what they need to work on, what they need to remove. Oh, okay. Hold on, we have some people in the waiting room. We want to let in. Okay. So it's almost kind of like, if you can see I know you can see my screen, so where it has fruits, right? Now, say if the fruits and the whole fruits and vegetable side of the plate was really me just really focusing on my kids not going to bed on time. Because now, let's just be for real with some of the things that we're dealing with. In most cases, when I talk to parents and we really start trying to tackle them creating a healthy balance, the first thing the parents always share with me is that it's hard to get their kids to go to bed at night. right? They seem like the kids are up all night. And then what happens when the kids are up all night? What happens in the morning?
It's hard for them to wake up in the morning.
Then, okay, so is that fair to parents or the kids? Not only is it a struggle at night, Mr. Russell, to get them to go to bed, but then in the morning, now it's time to get up and go to work and go to school. Then it's a struggle in the morning too. So that doesn't express balance at all, right? And so that's the first thing that I typically get from parents that is creating a lot of stress. Half of their plate is just the morning and the night routine. That's exhausting just thinking about that. You know, it's like, oh my goodness. And especially if you got more than one kid, I mean, it can be exhausting with even one. So again, this is when I start saying to them, okay, it's time to really start focusing on a bedtime routine. Your whole half of your plate shouldn't be committed to just a bedtime in a morning routine that's not working, right? Or the other visual that I share with some of the well, not some, with all of the parents and the students who I support, and again, these are all tools that you can use too, is a lot of times our parents are so concerned and overwhelmed and overly committed to the things that they can't control all of the time. So this whole yellow part, things outside of my control. And again, we have to be very honest with identifying what's causing the imbalances in our families' lives so we can really effectively support them. Listen, every time I talk to parents, it's never necessarily a student-centered conversation because they got everything else going on. When, you know, our main concern is usually the parent and the student that goes to our school, right? That's the only reason why we're really connected to the parent, is because we're connected to the student who goes to our school. That's the person we serve. And so, you know, you talk to parents, you talk to mom, you talk to grandma, you talk to stepdad, and other people's actions. Oh, well, you know, I forgot the my student's laptop at at the aunt's house because the aunt had to go to, whoa, dad. Those are other people's actions, right? You can't necessarily control what aunt is has going on. And so then that's when we really start to troubleshoot. So, you know, then when you start having real conversations with dad, well, dad, maybe aunt isn't the best plan B or the best option to, you know, leave the Chromebook. You know, because a lot of times our parents just need support troubleshooting. And I mean, it's as simple as that sounds, they need that support. Um, others people's words, what others, how other people, excuse me, how other people play, or people's ideas, the weather. Those are things that they can't control. I usually tell them to create a really good balance. Aside from reorganizing your plate and the things that are on your plate, only focus on the things you can control. That wipes out so much additional and excessive stress and anxiety and just worries that you don't necessarily have to have. Because if you focus on the things that you can control, then you already know that you're in a good place to really be able to handle whatever's in your life. So you can only really control your words, your ideas, your effort, your actions, the way you think, the mistakes you make, your behaviors. And then this tool or this strategy then helps our parents become more accountable. Because if we have accountable parents, then prayerfully, as they model and parent their children, now we're building more accountable children. Does that make sense? Any questions, any concerns? Anybody want to add? Okay, so going to the next slide, if I could share just 3 easy tips to creating a healthy balance. And again, you can share this with your parents. This is the takeaway for today. Number 1, to remove unnecessary responsibilities. That's clearing that plate. That's reorganizing that plate. That mental health portion control, right? Just like we know when we need to eat more vegetables or we need to eat more fruit, we need to lay off of, like, you know, those heavy carbs, the potatoes and stuff like that. It's the same concept. So number 1, they need to really eliminate and get rid of get rid of unnecessary responsibilities. And a lot of times our parents may not necessarily know how to say no to certain things, but that creates healthy balance. Focusing on the circle of control, only focusing on the things that they can control, period. Anything else that they cannot control, they should not be worrying about. And I mean, these are the same concepts that we should be practicing ourselves. Keep in mind, I always say we can only really share effective tools and strategies with a certain level of passion when we know that we're using these same tools and strategies in our own personal lives. I was the single mom that had a lot of um just unnecessary stress when it came to the morning routine, even with Journey. And I had one kid, and I realized that, you know, I was having so many issues and it was such a struggle in the morning was because we weren't setting ourselves up the proper way at night. It was an imbalance, right? And so I myself, once I started a regular nightly routine, it seemed like Journey and I both had so much more time for the things that we really wanted to have time for. It wasn't a rush anymore. You know, now she's such a good self-governor that she's listening to her own body. And when she gets tired, she's going to sleep at a reasonable time because now she's been programmed, she's trained. And then creating a normal bed routine, as silly as it may sound, you know, research shows that our kids still need an adequate 7 to 8 hours of sleep, where it will increase, it will increase metabolism in most cases. You know, when our kids aren't rested, it can lead to them having unhealthy eating habits. It adds to the adolescent obesity issue, and then it also and it also uh, deals with and impacts focus. And we want our kids to be focused, so they need an adequate amount of sleep. And so, if your kids or our kids, your parents, if they don't have a normal bedtime routine, they need to have one, because that's the first thing that's going to really add to their balance and really give them some space to eliminate some additional pressure or stress or anxiety. Any questions? Any questions or concerns?
Indra, I put a question in the chat. The screen that was just up, could you go back a minute? Over here, number one, remove unnecessary responsibilities. What would you consider unnecessary responsibilities?
An unnecessary responsibility would be, so say for instance, now I myself, because we have to really be comfortable in maybe saying no sometimes to certain things.
Uh-huh.
And so I myself had someone who had asked if I could, um, if I could pick some students up, right? If I could pick a couple of the kids up and then take them to school, and then still, even in this climate, get myself to work and take Journey to school, right? As much as I wanted to support that person, I had to say no, because I almost took on an unnecessary responsibility, knowing that it's already a struggle for me and my family to get to where we need to get to on time in the morning, you know? Any other?
If I can say something,
Mhm.
one of the, I think maybe one of the unnecessary responsibilities could be allowing children to take part in some things that parents do for them. And you have to be patient enough as they walk through it and get better at the routines. It can take some of those responsibilities from the parents, like, you know, maybe washing clothes, or like doing their room, making a bed, you know, small things like that. And, you know, instead of parents getting to a point where it frustrates them so much, they act out. And kids really want to do those kind of things, but there's times when they may not do them as well as parents would like, and parents would jump in and do it instead.
Mhm. It's so funny you said that too, because I actually now have Journey really getting ready in the morning and now making her own breakfast. And I'm not talking about, omelets and, omelets and, steak and eggs, not that kind of thing, but, instead of just simple things, saving some time where, we used to keep the French toast sticks in the freezer. So of course they take longer in the microwave. But now we keep the French toast sticks in the refrigerator, and now Journey can take out 3 or 4 in the morning, pop them in the microwave, and now she's having breakfast.
Right.
Where that you right was a responsibility of mine, adding one other thing onto my plate that I had to do in the morning. But now, she's doing it, and you're right. She likes to do it. She wants to get up in the morning, get herself together, and now make her own breakfast.
That's her contribution. And then
Mhm.
it allows you to see her as maturing and evolving, which gives her other leeways that are come in the future, like when she wants to borrow the car.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to share? Okay. So now the next slide, and I really wanted to show the next slide because, it's so funny where like so many different platforms and forums now are talking about balance in light of COVID, and just, as we continue to really explore mindfulness and mental health support and building resilient families. And I thought that this video from PBS Kids was so apropos for today's discussion or today's dialogue, especially because, you know, I think a lot of times too, when discussing balance, we don't consider how different things in our lives are so closely related, where we're talking about nutrition and then mental health portion control, and how, like, it's like mental health, and then we talk about strawberries and blueberries, but everything is extremely related, especially as we talk about balance. So I want to share this video. Oh wait. Oh wait. Oh, is this gonna happen again? This worked earlier. Hold on. Okay. All right. So as we actually find the video, I used the right embed code, and it worked, but we're having tons of technical difficulties, but that's okay. um, this video was
called that. What's good balance?
yes.
Okay. Let me get the link for you.
Thank you. So this video was extremely informative, and it was for me because it's so funny where, like, as soon as we start to have conversations with our parents about balance and creating new norms so they can be less stressed, and their kids can be less stressed as well, they always, especially in this video right here, what's happening is nutrition comes up.
I want you to check quick.
Okay.
And I have the link there waiting for you.
We have no sound.
Can you hear the video?
We cannot.
Okay, hold on.
You can't hear your mic.
Saturday morning, shine on my smile, ready to love my tummy well. Full breakfast, full of color, full of nutrition, not too much and not too little. This balance feels so good on my bones, under my skin. Can you see the way I glow, healthy and Saturday morning, shine on my smile, ready to love my tummy well. Full breakfast, full of color, full of nutrition, not too much and not too little. This balance feels so good on my bones, under my skin. Can you see the way I glow, healthy and starry-eyed? Nourishment round and green like this earth. My balance keeps me going.
This is a series about inspiration, information, and the power of science. Listen to Chef Juan Kim talks about finding affordable, healthy ingredients, learn about the science of balance, and discover why balance is good for you and your kids. This is What's Good.
It's always fun to cook and improvise and look at me with a pan, I'm crazy, right? But it's also crucial to know how much to buy. We're feeding 6 friends tonight. My first choice, if I need something last minute, will be to go to Martinez down the street. They got the essentials, honestly. I know they have a limited produce selection. We're grabbing, a few of the vegetables that we need for dinner. For the pantry, we're getting honey, and they have a really excellent butchering section. What's up, Rudy? We're getting our chicken from Martinez as well. How much is it per pound?
$2.99 a pound.
Awesome, great deal. Can I also get some tacos while I'm here? They have the best tacos in the city. Every occasion to call for a taco. I'll be in a sauna somewhere and I'll be like, I just want some tacos right now. There's everything you need for any kind of salad. I'll either use this for dessert or use it for the salad, who knows. Stone fruit for dessert, this is a nice little surprise. So the total came up to $38.69. If you think about feeding 6 people, 3 different items for a dinner, that comes out to maybe $6 a person. To add frivolous things like this is it's just for me. Thanks, man.
Balance happens when 2 objects are made equal in size or shape. A boat needs balance to stay afloat. Balance is found when elements come together really well. We even use balance in cooking, when different ingredients are combined to create a complete meal.
What's good? The dishes I'm making are all kind of reliant on what we did earlier today in the shopping. The beauty of salads, anything really goes. We're gonna utilize those carrots, the zucchini, the fennel, the romaine, the lemons, some garlic for the dressing. As I'm prepping, I'm seeing the portion control. I already saved 1 zucchini and 1 carrot. We can use that carrot again for a whole nother meal. We can use that zucchini again for a whole nother meal. So the things I'm gonna be doing are all things that you do at home. You whisk a salad dressing together, oil, vinegar, some kind of herb, a little bit of garlic. And then the chicken, you just saute. Salt, pepper, and put it in the oven to finish. It's so easy. I got some minari greens. The bitterness might taste really good with the chicken. And then the dessert, combining honey and yogurt together. You whisk it together. The yogurt is a little bitter, acidic. You add a little bit of honey to soften it. And then you just chop some fresh fruit over everything. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the avocado. You might see it in the salad or you might see it in the dessert. Who knows? A balanced dish to me is all about making sure there's different textures. If you're gonna have something mushy, have something crunchy. When you think about painting, you think about color, contrast. You need that balance. You need the light and the darks. I'm gonna make this food taste good for you to eat because I want you to see that I care about you guys. You give that effort, people will notice. That balance and that.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so this video was actually only about, 4 minutes and 45 seconds, but I just really wanted to show this video. And again, you can watch it to it, to its entirety on your own time, or even share it with parents. Is that, oh, don't stop. Is that balance is a very important aspect in life, period. Not just when it comes to, nutrition, or, the way that we cook, the way that we have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but in all aspects of our lives. And so when we do start to really focus on balance, even though we might start talking about just personal, professional balance initially with our parents, but then we can then bridge the gap and start having other conversations in regards to how balance really is the way of life, like the chef said in the short clip. And so I only have about 2 minutes left. I'm sorry, I'm just a little off. I'm a little imbalanced because of the tech issues. So
Share your last screen.
so I just want to share my last screen. And if you have any questions, if we want to have any dialogue. This is my last screen. And I really love this quote. So I definitely wanted to put this on the slide. It says, "The secret to life is finding the right balance to everything that you do." And so really that was the message that I was really trying to share with you today as colleagues. And then I hope that you can translate to parents and translate to the students who you serve, is that everything deserves a balance. And I know a lot of times our parents feel like they just aren't maybe doing it right or getting it right. And that does lead to frustration and anxiety and stress. And it doesn't necessarily, add a healthy, sensible, calm environment for our children to live in. And so we want to continue to just support our students and support our parents and let them know that they can build the resilience that they need in language. We talked about language last month, and now we're talking about imbalance in 3 easy ways to removing unnecessary responsibilities, really focusing just on the things that they can control, and creating bedtime routines for their students.
Remind them to sign in, please.
And Ms. Linda Brown Kidd said, please don't forget to sign in. Don't forget to sign in. Any questions? I thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
I added some additional resources this time for social emotional learning tools.
Can you give her a call back?
I also wanted to share some mental health, family crisis support. Mobile response is a good resource if you don't have that. And then just some other child counseling options, the Alcove Center for Grieving Children and Families in Northfield. So I thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.